Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa and we've just been given the details on the changes that are going to hit McCree and how the rank system is going to change as well when that comes out at the end of this month. So where did I get this information from? Well, it's from a Eurogamer interview which I'll link to in the description below, but I'm going to show you some quotes on the screen and I'm also going to read them off because we need to talk about them. So let's get into the McCree nerf, which it's very interesting that Jeff calls it a nerf because it is, because they need to reduce his effectiveness because he's a bit too good. So I'm going to read the quote and then we'll discuss what has actually been said. So this is what he says. Yeah, the McCree nerf. I hate using that word, but I just said it. The McCree balance change will be coming sooner than the D.Va buff. This is because D.Va is going to be buffed, but they don't actually know what they're going to do with D.Va just yet. McCree is pretty straightforward. What we're looking at right now is his fan the hammer damage. We're going to reduce it. The goal there is to make it so McCree can still use his combo that we love, which is the flashbang with the fan the hammer on somebody like Tracer. McCree should absolutely kill that Tracer. We want McCree to be a counter to people like Tracer, Genji and Reaper. What we're not crazy about right now is the way in which McCree can absolutely shred tanks. It's a little too easy. So we want to bring the fan the hammer damage down so he's still killing the squishies and the medium strength heroes, but he's less effective against the tanks. If he times everything perfectly and gets every single shot off, he's got a shot against the tank, but it's not the instant I win button that it is right now. So that's what's coming from McCree. We've been testing it for a while and it feels good. You still want him on your team. Now let's look at this because I think the most interesting thing straight away is the fact that he calls McCree a counter. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Coming directly from Blizzard, this idea of direct counters of, you know, McCree should always kill the Tracer and that type of thing. I mean, McCree's obviously really strong against the Tracer, so yeah, you should have the advantage. But I don't know, I know I've used the term counter a few times in the videos that I've made, but I do make it clear that I think it's not a hard counter, it's more of a, you've got the advantage. It's like a soft counter kind of thing. So I just thought that was interesting. But let's talk about this change. So what they're going to do is reduce the damage of Fan the Hammer. I was hoping they were going to put a cooldown on it, because I think it was okay where it is right now with the damage, because it is almost that you get the flashbang off, you right click and you do kill Tracer. You put a lot of damage into other people as well, but you have that advantage, which I think you should have, right? McCree is the bloody pistols at high noon guy, you know, the duelist 1v1, he should be pretty strong like that. So I was hoping that they would give him like a cooldown, so maybe he could fire off the fan the hammer and then he had like a 10-second cooldown or something. Maybe 10 seconds would be too much, but obviously as it is right now, you can flashbang, right click, roll. Well, I say right click, I know you got some of you guys playing console, but you can fan the hammer. Let's start use the terms. You can fan the hammer, right? Then you can dash, I think it's called dash, whatever it's called, the roll on the floor, which reloads your revolver, and then you can fan the hammer again, and that's massive damage, right? It looks like you can still be able to do that, and if they're going to reduce the damage of it, there'll still be that potential for spike damage there, I guess, but we'll have to see how severe that nerf is. So I'm a little bit disappointed because I was just hoping it would stay how it is, but there would just be a cooldown. I guess Blizzard have tested that and decided that no, we want to keep it like that because it's a more because there is a nice flow to McCree when you are fan the hammering and rolling and fan the hammering and, you know, flashbanging and all that. So maybe they want to keep that in the game, just reduce the damage. So we'll have to see how that goes. But it is good that we've actually got the information and the detail on what is actually going to change with McCree. As I say, we do need to see the numbers though to see how much of a nerf it actually is. The next thing we've got is the ranked changes. Now, this is pretty interesting because, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll read the quote off first and then we'll discuss it. So, these are the ranked changes. Another thing that there was a lot of complaints about was the time for the season. The player base at large felt that if they'd gotten to a certain place in the competitive system, they wanted to enjoy that time at that place before it got reset. So, when we unveil the new system, we're going to have longer seasons. Most likely, the seasons will be about 3 months and they will match real-world seasons. Now, originally in the beta, they were 1 month seasons, which is a bit short because you can imagine the amount of time it would take you to get to the top, and then it suddenly gets reset. You're going to have to constantly keep putting that type of play in and almost going back through the ranks, so to speak, which I guess could get a little bit annoying if you're like a more advanced player or whatnot. Anyway, there's still more that I need to quote. Anyway, so Jeff also goes on to say this. The way our system worked before, we had different tiers with Challenger, Advanced, Expert, Master and Heroic. Within the whole system, you could never drop from a tier. So if you got to Master, you would never drop, no matter how many times you lost. Now, in the player's opinion, that meant everybody was going to end up eventually in the same place. In our new system, there is no safety net. If you lose, you're going to go down. If you win, you're going to go up. This is really interesting, and I really like this change because before, the whole rank system was a little bit of a joke. Eventually, everybody would become heroic. because you would just keep playing games. You can never get demoted, you can only progress. So what that means is the more time you put into the game, you would eventually become the top rank. Now, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not saying I'm going to be the top rank, you know, when the rank comes out, but what I'm not a fan of is just people putting in time and somehow in a skill-based game as well, like Overwatch, that eventually, oh yeah, you just reach the top rank. I don't agree with that, and I think a lot of people didn't agree with that. So it's a very good change in my opinion, because what this means now is you have to actually win games and keep winning games as you will get demoted. It's very similar to, say, StarCraft 2, where if you lose games, you drop down the ladders. You know, I remember, I think I got to Diamond, I was high Diamond, then I went on a massive losing streak, and then I dropped down into Platinum, and then I found it really hard to get back into Diamond again. But when I managed to do it, it was like, wow, yeah, and it was such an achievement. So it's going to be the same system as that, I suppose. So I think that's a good change. Also, as well, a lot of people were wondering what was going to go on with the queuing system, like how we're going to queue. And this is actually a point I put together in the last video I put on the channel, where I said, you know, what we're going to look at with, is there going to be like a hero limit restricted queue or different types of queue? But it looks like there isn't to begin with, because this is what Jeff says. We're going to go out of the gate with what we call a dynamic queue. This is what we use for quick play right now, meaning you can queue in any size that you want. So if you want to queue by yourself, or you want to queue with 2 people, 3, 4, 5, 6, the system will allow that. So it's going to be a case, obviously. I think most ranked people are probably going to want to play, you know, if you really want to, I guess, try hard and get to the top level, you're going to want a 6-man team, because you need that coordination. Overwatch is a game that does rely on speed of target acquisition, but more so on team, not team mechanics, I suppose that's not what I'm trying to say, like team, oh Jesus, what am I trying to say, like team coordination, that's it. If you're highly coordinated and you can make changes to deal with what the enemy team are doing, then you're probably going to advance much quicker. So there we go, guys. That's the recent news that we've just been given with the McCree changes. So we know McCree's fan the hammer damage is going to be reduced, and that's basically all they're going to do to McCree for now. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. We've also got the ranked system is going to be extended to 3 months instead of just a 1-month season. And you can get demoted now, which I think is a good change. I think they're both good changes for ranked play, which is great. I can't wait to get onto that. And we also know D.Va she's going to be, well, they've got a few different ways that they're looking at D.Va. I think they mentioned in the article that possibly like increasing her damage or increasing her survivability and different things like that, but they're not sure on what to do with D.Va just yet. Also, another thing as well, the McCree change, I was going to call it a buff, it's not a change, the McCree balance patch will hit all platforms at the same time as well, which is great news. Alright then, guys, I've been Stylosa, this is Unit Lost. Let me know what you think about these changes in the comments below. You can follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming. And yeah, if you like these kind of news updatey videos, then just, you know, let me know in the comments below, and I don't mind making them, because I like talking about topics, and especially things like this, which are pretty major changes, and everybody's waiting to see what goes on with ranked, and everybody wanted to know what the hell was going to happen to McCree. I guess next on the chopping block is probably Widowmaker, but we'll have to see about that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Stylosa. You can follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming. Subscribe to the channel if you love it, like the video, dislike the video if you don't, and I will catch you on the next one. Toodaloo.